go. Welcome to technical session number 2, Introduction to Computers. Today we're kind of just familiarizing ourselves with different types of computer, different components, inputs, outputs, things like that, just to kind of lay a little bit of a foundation for what we're going to be getting into much more detail. Tomorrow we'll be going through a tour through the inside of the computer and start getting an understanding of the geography of everything that's inside there, what different components we generally deal with, what it looks like, where it's located. And then we'll get into each of those individual components and in technical sessions explaining what they do, how they work, why that's important. And we have fun labs for everything. So for this particular one, we're going to be describing how computers work in a very general sense, including the relationship between the hardware and the software, and explain some key safety precautions to take, tools you might come across and use in order to kind of protect yourself and the computer. This becomes extremely important, especially if you're dealing with very expensive machines. Some servers or computers can be upwards of tens of thousands of dollars. And we don't want to damage them because we forgot to ground ourselves. So we will be talking about that a little bit as well today. All right. BSMs, or behavior skills and mindsets, we want to keep in mind. Adaptability, we haven't gone over that one yet, but we will today. And growth mindset, which we talked about at length yesterday. So first, definition of a computer. Essentially, it is an electronic device for storing and processing data, according to the instructions given to it in a variable program. So pretty sterile definition for it that encompasses a lot of information in very few words, but this is the general idea of it. So computers can essentially be watches, they can be tablets, they can be phones, they can be desktops, laptops, and a multitude of other devices without screens. But they all serve this same function where they store and process data. Although there is also some argument that they're old computers, some of the first computers didn't use electricity at all, they were just simply mechanical devices. But predominantly nowadays, they are electronic. So 4 main types of computers that you will come across that, they tend to fall into one of these main camps. You have the supercomputer. These are super fast computers like Big Blue with IBM, and Deep Think is another one. They're way too big for personal use, not to mention insanely expensive. Requires a facility to house it, a lot of cooling, maintenance. I mean, just the infrastructure around a single supercomputer is pretty daunting. Mainly used by the science community as well as large businesses will utilize them as well. Another example of business that might utilize it would be car manufacturing, controlling all the robots and all that stuff at a given time. Astrophysicists use it for prediction, climatologists use it. So you will see supercomputers at universities. And then because they don't have so many of them, scientists will actually have to schedule time on these machines to be able to run the calculations that they want. Next, we have mainframes, which have tons of storage space, lots of input and output devices, and can connect across very large distances. Example, maybe servers. So when you're connecting to, say, Google, or if you have web servers or email servers, any of this stuff, it can connect across large distances. They tend to have a lot of storage devices, or or be able to hook up to many machines or have many inputs, outputs at the same time. All right. Ones that we are a little more familiar with. The one we are most familiar with is called the microcomputer. And it gets that name because of the chip being so small and affordable. First one's being made by IBM, and then there were clones that came out after that, and they called them IBM compatibles. And then many other computer companies, Vizio, Compaq, HP, Dell, all that have kind of sprung up out of that same area. And now we also have Apple as well getting into that. And now some of the larger companies like Chrome. And then you have mini computers. They tend to be a little bit faster and more robust than an actual microcomputer. It tends to have more storage and more input-output devices. So this may be a point of sale machine that is connected, all connecting to this one central computer. That one central computer would be your microcomputer. Point of sales would be what are called thin clients, but we will get into those types as well. Questions? So super, mainframe, mini, micro, going from the largest to the smallest being what we tend to use on a day-to-day basis. All right. Really basic for computing parts. First, you have your hardware, physical components. That's anything you can touch. Monitors, keyboards, mice, speakers, RAM modules, CPUs, motherboards, all of that stuff. If you can physically touch it, that is considered hardware. Other side of that would be software. This is the programming instructions for the hardware to execute it so that the hardware can actually do what we want it to do. Show pictures on the monitor, have sound come out the speakers, all of that stuff. That would be operating systems, applications, things of that nature. Then we have a middle ground, which is called firmware. And that is a hardware chip that has software stored on it. The two best examples for this would be ROM storage, which ROM stands for read-only memory, which technically or historically speaking meant it was information that could not be changed, although that is not necessarily true now, but the name still remains. So read-only memory. And then you have BIOS chip, which BIOS stands for Basic Input Output System. Please, if you have a question, drop it in chat and we should be able to clear it up in there as well. So basic input output system, that is the very low level base instructions that your computer has to be able to turn on. Every time you push that button, BIOS is the first thing that is kicked up, and it basically tells the computer, go here to look for an operating system. There's where your keyboard's located. Here's your RAM module. So it tells the system where everything is located, how it should be able to talk together so that your system can boot up and then you get your main operating system. We will get into BIOS in a lot more detail a little bit later. This is just a brief introduction to it. All right, so here's some basic pictures of some hardware stuff. So it looks like you got your network interface card, or is that a sound card? You have a CPU processor, RAM module. Oh, here's your network interface card, power supply, motherboard, optical drive, mechanical hard drive or HDD, and it looks like you have a floppy drive, although you probably won't see one of those in the wild. They do exist still, but it's highly unlikely you'll see one. And then this is a video card. That's what that is. All right, another video card here. So we will be talking about all of these individually, so you will get a chance to better understand them, how they work, internal components on them, and why they're important. Today, we're just kind of introducing you guys to all of this stuff. All right, firmware. Like we talked about, the BIOS, or basic input output system, has the startup instructions for low-level hardware. Where does it go to look for everything? And this is typically a chip that is soldered directly onto the motherboard. Typically does not change readily and requires a special process or utility in order to be able to change or update the programming instructions that are on the chips themselves. right. Sorry, bear with me 2 seconds. All right, software. Did I skip ahead too far? Here we go. Software falls into 2 general camps. You have operating systems, and then you have applications and programs. So your operating system is the user interface, and that is essentially utilized to control all the hardware on your system. It manages communication between these hardware components with software itself. It tends to run applications on top of it, and it predominantly controls your inputs and your outputs. Basic examples of this, the 3 big families of operating systems. You have Windows, you have Mac operating systems, and you have Linux. If you do not have experience with some of these, you will by the end of this course. You will not be expected to be a pro at the other ones. Just some exposure, being able to have basic navigation and understanding of those systems as well. Chrome OS is considered an operating system, but it is a more stripped down one. Yes, Crystal. But it has gained a lot in popularity in the last 5 years or so. All right, applications or programs run on top of operating systems. They are written to interact with specific operating systems, and they are sent to perform useful human tasks, like Candy Crush. But they're much smaller. They're not as computationally intensive as a full-blown operating system, but it gives us greater functionality. Weather apps, financial apps, being able to monitor the stock market, study aids, all that kind of fun stuff. Those are applications and programs that run on top of our operating systems. We will also get into mobile operating systems as well as we move along. This is speaking more in general terms with regards to desktop and laptop computers. I've never played it either, Caleb, but I just know so many people who have. All right. The language of a computer. How do they talk? Well, they don't talk like we do. They essentially operate with a series of switches. It's almost like a light switch. And we call that language either machine language or binary. And so you have a switch, and it has 2 positions. It can either be on or off. Those are the only options it has, unless we want to start talking about quantum computing, and I don't think y'all want to talk about that at this point. So we only have 2 options, on or off. And then they clustered these to make it a little bit easier for us to interact with them, even though a computer sees it just as a big long string, but we break them up, and the way we measure it is a single unit or switch that turns on and off. It's called a bit. So a single bit is 1 switch that can be on or off, and that is represented as either a 1 or a 0, on or off. If you cluster 8 of those bits together, you get a byte. So you have 8 switches that can be on and off. They also have, thanks to the introduction of hexadecimals, which we will talk about here as well, a nibble, which instead of 8 bits, it's only 4. So 4 bits is a nibble. So 1 is a byte, 4 is a nibble. Excuse me, 1's a bit, 4 is a nibble, 8's a byte. And then beyond that, it starts going up by 1,024 for each one. So 1,024 bytes make a kilobyte. 1,024 kilobytes make a megabyte. 1,024 megabytes make a gigabyte. And I'm sure we're all kind of familiar with this when we look at the memory or the storage on our screen. When you buy a phone, they're like, oh, it has 64 gigabytes of memory, which seems like a lot. It seems to go away pretty quickly. So these are measures of storage. Remember, small b is a bit, big B is a byte. If you see it written in shorthand, small b is a bit, big B is a byte. All right. So how does this translate from these ones and zeros to something that's useful and practical to us? Well, historically, they had used what is called the American Standard Code for Informational Interchange, or ASCII, ASCII. And that would go something like this, where each series of bits could be broken down to represent up to 128 individual characters. But as society has evolved and language has evolved as well, and we now insist on using fun things such as emojis in our life, not to mention the incorporation of other languages using glyphs and stuff like they do in Japanese, or some of the Cyrillic alphabet, or Arabic characters, things like that. We need a lot more options than just 128, right? So we've had to actually update this chart and language to what is now called the UTF-8. You don't really need to know what it means. It stands for the UCS Transformation Format 8. And it is the most common character coding that is used today. It now has something like 1,112,000 characters that can be used. So we could quite literally jump from 128 to 1,100,000 characters. So now we can have that crying, laughing emoji. Hooray for humanity. So this is basically how ones and zeros translates to useful things so that we can actually interact and communicate with the computer. All right. Basic processing for the computer. Data comes in through an input device, be that a keyboard, a mouse, network interface card, something. And it's sent to the CPU so the CPU can interpret and process and basically figure out what that is supposed to mean. And the CPU processes that data based on the input that, brought it in, and the program or data or whatever is installed into the memory. Once the CPU is finished with that, it is presented through an output device, be it a speaker, a monitor, printer, what have you, whichever way it is directed to come out. Or it can be stored in computer memory for long-term storage. That's just the basic input, how information flows through a computer. Again, we will get into this much more detail. We are just exposing ourselves to kind of the flow of information through a system. Go ahead, I think we have a little quiz. We pause the. So, basic idea for inputs, kind of like what DW was talking about. So inputs would be your keyboard, your mouse, hard drives, a scanner where you're scanning documents, digital camera, a modem, a microphone, a NIC, which also stands for network interface card. This is how your computer talks to the internet, but we will get into that again a little bit later. Again, this is brief introduction and exposure. So these are all varieties of inputs. And then we have the stuff that aids in processing. So you have drives, which can be kind of a backup for your RAM. They use something that's called a page file or a swap file that can operate kind of as a backup for RAM if RAM gets overloaded. Again, we will get into that later. CPU or central processing unit. This is the main brain power of your computer. It does all the mathematical computations to turn random, what seemingly is random input, like the ones and zeros coming in, and turning that into a useful format and communicating with an output device. And then the motherboard, which is kind of like the backbone or nervous system of your computer. But we'll talk again about each of these components individually as we go forward. So that would be your processing components. Then you have output devices. So you see a monitor where you would look at the pictures or images created by your machine. You have a printer, you can print out documents and pictures for you to use. Speakers where we can hear sound. Drives where we can store things for long-term storage and later use. And then you probably recognize the NIC and the modem from the inputs, but it's here too, because they do both. Because you send information out over the internet and you receive information in from the internet. So it is both an input and an output. Now, here's a caveat, and I want you to please write this down. We'll mention it again during when we talk about display devices. The monitor, when you think of it as an input or output device, if they say monitor, it is just a plain old monitor. Do not assume it is a touch screen unless they specifically state that. Because a touch screen would be both, right? That would be an input and an output device. So if they only say monitor, unless they're talking about like a phone, they only say monitor, your assumption is it is just a plain old monitor, much like a TV. It's only an output. Because you will see questions like that. They will try to trick you with it. So please, please remember that key point. All right. Break up the monotony here a little bit. Let's see here. Aaron, can you give me an example of an input device, please?
Keyboard.
Keyboard. Brianna, can you give me another one? Thank you, Aaron.
A game controller.
Game controller, that'd be a really good one. Excellent. Joseph.
Can you say mouse?
Mouse, yes, absolutely. Babacar. You're muted. Real quick.
Said I was gonna say mouse, but he just said it.
Okay, can you think of anything else that would be an input?
Oh, let me see. What else?
How am I hearing you right now?
Can you hear me?
How am I hearing you right now?
Oh, microphone.
Microphone. Perfect. Galen.
The NIC, which is also an output, it does both.
I like it. So the NIC, input and output. Beautiful. Ian. You're talking, you're muted.
Speaker.
Is that an input?
Oh,
Oh, that's an output. My bad.
No worries. No worries. That's what we're here for. That's what we're learning.
Desktop, I believe.
But that would be the whole computing unit, would it not?
Yeah.
Remember,
Say I wanted to watch a movie, old school.
Projector.
oh,
Come on, these little, they look like a frisbee.
CD.
There you go. CD is a good one. You know, like, so that, you know, how do we get a CD onto a computer?
The drive.
remember, info going into the system, bro. Info going into the system.
So you got it. You got it. It's a CD, like a CD-ROM.
Yeah.
So there you go. Excellent. Robin,
Joystick, notepad,
joystick, notepad. There you go. SK,
Touchscreen monitor.
touchscreen monitor. Perfect. I like that. Man, we're getting a lot of good ones here. Eric,
A webcam would be one.
webcam. There we go.
Yeah.
I like it. Christopher,
A drawing tablet.
drawing tablet.
Wait, actually, wouldn't that be an output as well? Actually, wait, no, because yeah, never mind.
You're right, brother.
It
It's
is. It is both. It is both.
It is all right.
Yeah,
Shows
it
you
is
something
both.
on the
So
screen
it's
when you're
still- it's
inputting
still
something.
qualified.
No, but it's like there's two different types of drawing tablets. There's one that is directly like there's no screen. It just has the
Yeah,
like
it's a digitizer.
yeah
Oh, the haptic, like a Wacom?
yeah.
Got you, bro.
So yeah, we have the digitizers. So excellent. I like that one. Madison,
Scanner.
scanner. Excellent. One more, Donald.
is a modem an input?
Yes, it absolutely is. Modem is an input.
Gotcha.
A fax machine can be an input, yes. But it would communicate typically to the computer through the modem. There's a couple ways that works, but yeah, I will take that one. All right, so we'll jump on here a little bit. What about processing? There's just a couple things in here, but what would we use for processing? Joseph,
CPU.
CPU, main brain. There we go. Galen,
Motherboard,
motherboard. Excellent. Lakaya,
Drives.
drives. Excellent. Joseph,
RAM.
RAM. There we go. That's our main ones. That's our processing team.
What about GPUs?
Yes, you could use a GPU. That's another one. I just wasn't diving into all that yet. So yes, absolutely. All right. Outputs. Joseph,
Speaker.
speaker. Those audio files out there. Crystal,
A monitor.
monitor. Perfect. Galen,
printer,
printer. Excellent. SK,
Nick.
Nick. Yep, absolutely. Robin,
A printer is already.
yep, printer. It's a good one.
Mhm.
Donald,
Speakers,
speakers. Yep. Lincoln,
I was thinking projector.
projector. Yeah, that would be an output. Absolutely. Engine,
Did anyone say drives?
no, nobody did not say drives, but that is an excellent one as well, because we write to that for long-term storage. Excellent. So hopefully we now have a really, really good idea, you know, at least in the basic sense of inputs, processing, and outputs. And remember, we're thinking about it from the point of view of the computer. So information coming in to the computer, input, information flowing out, output. A lot of great examples. Excellent. All right. So if you want, take a screenshot of this, just have it as a quick study guide. If you wish, I'll stay here for a couple seconds, let people grab it. But just kind of
Command Shift 4, right?
Command Shift 4 for Macs, yes.
Yeah. Oh.
And then you just highlight what
for-
you want and it'll save that picture.
for
Bless
Windows,
you.
if anyone wants Windows print screen.
Yep, Windows print screen. All right. Excellent work, everyone. Liking the interaction. Oh, quick question. How many kilobytes are in a megabyte? Don't say it out loud. Henry, a DVD-ROM? No. A DVD-RW? Yes. So that is a technicality on that one. Why is everybody putting the answer in chat? You got to mark it on here. Giving the answers away to everybody. I appreciate the teamwork, though. Trying to support everybody.
You wrote that down too.
They will try to trick you. So in simplifying things, we may say, 1,000 megabytes in a gig. So and very simple, but technically it is 1024. And so on the test, they will specifically ask, if they ask this question, kilobytes in a megabyte, and they will put 1,000 in there to try to distract you. So you got to remember it's 1024. Even though in general conversation, you may simplify it a little bit or summarize it and just say 1,000 just because it's quick and easy. But we have to remember specifics, 1024 kilobytes in a megabyte, or 1024 megabytes in a gigabyte. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. They're just supporting their teammates. That's all. I appreciate it. I just know that when we do in-class quizzes or whatever, I have to nuke the chat for the quizzes. All right. Moving away a little bit from the basic components of a computer and kind of how information flows, we need to talk about electricity. If we're going to be a technician, at some point, we're going to have to interact with electricity. You need to be able to kind of understand how it works, be able to protect yourself and the equipment. Again, vital components from getting shocked or damaged or what have you. So big thing, we just have a few definitions here. Short is kind of a sudden increase in the flow that can create a sudden increase in temperature, high electronic flow, high heat. Interestingly, that's how heaters work. It's essentially a controlled short that causes the wires to heat up and glow and produce heat for us. So electronic heaters, that's essentially how they work. It's a short. AC, or alternating current, when this flows on an unintended path, this is what can create a short. A volt is a single unit of electricity, and it is a measurement of force. 115 is a common value in the US. 220 to 230 is typically what you would see in other countries. So a watt, yes, Ramon.
Yeah, so short has been misused in a way because many times when a cable is like disconnected, people will say it's a short. So
Correct.
from this definition, it's not.
Yeah.
It's just a disconnect.
Well, no, a short in this sense is a sudden just surge in electricity.
Yes,
so a
but-
disconnected cable is not a short.
Yeah,
but
like
some people may
if it's like
represent
cut.
it as what?
Like if, let's say at the base of the cable, it's like damaged and you have to bend it a certain way.
See,
for it
but
to-
that is, again, that kind of does work because where the fraying is you're getting shorts or surges in certain areas, but not where you need them to be.
Okay.
So it's kind of one of those, But yeah,
Isn't
I absolutely get where you're coming from, Ramon. Yeah, you're on the right path. So like, if cable's cut, that's not a short.
Isn't it because it's called like it's shorthand for short circuit? So it's like a circuit means that it's flowing, and then if it's cut off short, that means that it gets discharged somewhere else.
very possible. And I'd never specifically read that, so I can't speak directly to that, but that sounds like a good a reason as any. And it explains it.
It hurts.
Oh, yes. 110 stings, 220 burns. Remember that. But yeah. So watt is a unit of electricity that measures the power consumption of a device. So like how much it is needed to actually get it flowing. And then you have volts times watts equals amps. And amperage is where the danger is. I've heard electricians say on multiple occasions, you can swim in an ocean of voltage, but just a few amps will kill you. So amperage is where the danger lies, not so much in the voltage.
You're frozen.
Somebody has to unfreeze him. Tack.
I think we may have lost Kelly for a second here.
It's a short.
Yeah, I think Kelly. Kelly is a short. Yeah. Yeah, we lost Kelly. Let's give him a minute to come back and resume. While he's gone, do you guys have any questions?
I personally find it a little bit tricky, so I might have to study a little bit. You see how you said the drive can be a processor and an output, and some of them they're like output, input, processor. For now, it's a little bit challenging, but it's okay. I'll give it some time. I'll study it a few more times.
Yeah, it's because drive is like the one that does a little bit of everything, because we read information from the drives, like you have things stored there, like documents, pictures, whatever, right? So we read it. We're also writing information to the drives, and then while your CPU processes information, it's communicating to the drive. So yeah, the drive is one of the ones is one that does all of it. It can do all of it, but it still depends on the drive. Like a CD-ROM drive isn't processing. Like it'll never be processing. It's just you're just reading from it, right? It just it depends on it. But we're gonna get into drive at a later chapter. So what we want you guys to understand, pretty much, is basically what it means to be an output device, what it means when we're talking about an input device, and what it means when we're saying processing. So processing is like.
Can you say that again? Because it broke up. You said, I want you guys to know what it means to.
Well, when we're talking about like input, we want you to know that we're talking about the computer system receiving from information, right? When we're talking about output, we want you to know that the computer system is sending out information. And when we're talking about processing, we want you to know that the computer system is performing calculations on the data, because that's what processing is. So we want you to be able to start differentiating between those three things, if that makes sense. Did that answer your question? I don't know who it was that called out.
Yeah, it was me. I'm sorry. I know you said you're going to go into details, but why is the microphone not both an input and an output? And I'm going to tell you how I understand it. Maybe you can correct me. So right now, like a microphone, you know how you tell the computer the instruction. So I feel like you're inputting the instructions, and let me say you're on Google or something, and you use the voice command. You input, and then it's going to respond to you. So I don't know if I'm not getting this, because you're inputting, and then you're going to get the response.
Right.
You know?
Give me a chance again to explain to you right now. So the microphone is something that's just listening to the audio, right? And it's sending that audio into your computer. When Google Voice responds to you, you're not listening to it on your microphone, right? Hold on, my camera's not on. I didn't realize that. Okay. So you see this part here? This is the microphone, right? This is what's listening to my audio, right? When when I'm listening to either Google Chat or I'm listening to you guys talk to me, I'm not listening through the microphone, which is this small part here. I'm listening to it through the headphones, right? Which is a separate component. And together those two components, the microphone and the earphones, make up the headset, which is made up of the two things. But the microphone itself is just the piece that is listening for the audio. Does that make sense now, Cynthia? Did I?
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Galen, you had a question?
Yes. So do you think that you could bring that screen up with the short and the volt and the watt with the definitions again? So because I was copying it down. Like I take information in, like when I write it down, like we said earlier, like I take it in a lot better when I'm writing it down.
Did it come up for you guys in the Nearpod? Or you want me to share it, is what you're saying? Give me a second.
Share, please. Thank you.
Let me just share sound too. Okay, can you see it now?
Yes, thank you very much.
Yeah, give me 1 second. My chair sometimes just slides down randomly. It's annoying. So you'll see me shrink. All right, All right, let me see if I got an update from Kelly if everything's okay. Give me 1 second here, guys. Send him the phone number. All right. Give me 1 second, guys. I'm trying to get Kelly back in. Oh, he's back in. Hey, Kelly. Can you hear us? Oh, he's connecting. Is the storm today? Is that probably what's happening for him?
No, it's supposed to hit Thursday.
Oh, okay. It's probably just crappy internet again. Did he disconnect again?
My parents live in Orlando. They said it's just like heavy overcast there right now. Like, so it must be gearing up.
Okay.
Not really gearing up, just Comcast is terrible.
Yeah, I figured. So you just lost all internet, Kelly?
Yeah, I lost everything. I'm operating off my cell phone right now. So entertainment at its best. Can you go on? I don't know where I cut out on y'all. Did you guys talk about capacitors or no?
No, I think Watt was the last thing you talked about, right?
Yeah, you didn't get to capacitor yet.
Okay.
Copy that. All right. Are we recording, CW?
No, we're not. Hold on.
Can you possibly resume recording for me?
Of course. Oh, we are recording.
Okay, beautiful. All right, so capacitors. Essentially, these are things that store electricity, even if the computer is turned off and unplugged. It still holds a charge. And this is what can make working on a system very dangerous if you're not paying attention. Things like the power supply that converts the power for the computer itself is loaded with capacitors. These look like little batteries that have been welded down onto the motherboard itself. And if you do not discharge the electricity, it can be discharged into you and can
injure and or possibly kill you. So please be careful with these. And power supplies are what are called field replaceable units. We'll talk about this later. You never, ever, ever open a power supply. Keep it in its metal box and swap it out. So that is capacitors. All right, next, please.
We got transformers next.
Transformers. This decreases the charge of the cells, so it can be used, because sometimes if too much voltage comes in, it can damage it, so the transformers will decrease that charge for you to make the charge safe for the computer itself. That in resistors.
All right, let's go on to the next slide here. All right, this is, I'll just read this next slide since you don't have access to it, Kelly. So it's protecting you from shock. So the first thing you want to do is always disconnect from your power sources before working the inside of a computer and discharge the residual power. The way that we do this is that you turn it off using the power button and you keep it held on for 15 seconds, right, Kelly? 15 seconds.
About 5 seconds. Is good
5 seconds.
Yeah.
So you keep your finger on the button for 5 seconds after it's turned off, and then that'll dissipate all that residual power that's on there, right? And you have to do this before you open up a case to work inside of it. Okay. Then you don't want to ground yourself, because when you ground yourself, power can still flow through to you from the ground, right? And then power supplies, printers, CRT monitors, which are the really big bulky monitors. I don't know if you guys remember them, the ones that have like a back to them. Those are called field replaceable units, and we don't work on them, right? Only certified licensed electricians can work on these things, right? You yourself as a go ahead, Kelly.
No, I was saying you're correct.
Okay. Yourself as a computer repair specialist, it's not your job to fix power supplies. Like if a power supply is bulging, if it's burnt, we're not gonna open those. In the inside of the power supplies on printers, we do work on printers, but not inside the electrical components of it, and also in the CRT monitors. Those are things that we just don't open up. We don't mess around with. They're very dangerous, very, very dangerous. You want to add anything to that, Kelly?
Nope, you're pretty much on point with that one.
Okay. So, quick question. When do we open a power supply?
Never.
Never, right?
Never ever.
Okay, good. Same things is not on here, but capacitors, like if you open up a motherboard and its capacitors are like leaking or they're bulging, meaning that they're getting ready to burst, that those things are done. We don't mess with that either. All right. All right, let's go on to the next slide, see what we got going on here. Okay, safely extinguishing fires. All right. So there'll be times where maybe a fire might start, and it's important to know what kind of fire extinguisher you need to use. Okay, so a Class A fire extinguisher is something that we can put out with water, right? And they're used for like fires that are started with paper, wood, or other non like oil or what do we use for that word? Fuels, right? So that's for Class
Chemical.
A, right? Chemicals,
chemical fires.
That too. Then Class B, we use to put out fires caused by liquids such as gasoline, kerosene, or oil, right? And then Class C is for non-conductive chemicals, right? Or electric fires. And then these will pop up. You do need to know these. So I would take a screenshot of these right here. You just gotta commit them to memory. Class A, Class B, and Class C. Okay, and then never put out an electrical fire with wire. Electrical fire with water. Use the use the appropriate extinguisher for the type of fire that it is. Any questions about this here?
How often are we going to encounter fires?
I don't know. I haven't yet, but it's good information to know. You know, these things do happen, and there's other things that we'll talk about fires, about like special wires and stuff that you're supposed to use later on in the cohort as well. All right. Okay. ESD, electric static discharge, or an electric charger, right? So this happens when two objects with different electrical charges touch, and electricity is passing through them, trying to reach an equilibrium. So us as humans we can physically feel it at around 2,000 to 3,000 volts, but a chip or a component only needs 100 volts to get damaged. So the point, what we're trying to say is you have to be very careful when you're working with these sensitive components, right? So we talked about the ESD bracelets and stuff yesterday, Kelly, or is this the first time it's popping up?
This is the first time it's popping up.
This is the first. So yeah, so which you'll use ESD bracelets, so it's something that you clip onto your wrist, and then you'll put it onto like the computer case to ground yourself, and then basically you work. You know, after that you can go ahead and start working on with your components. Another thing is that we try not to touch components with our hands. We use the chip extractors, or we use the little chip pliers. You know, because we have sensitive oils on your skin that can easily damage these components as well. Okay. So ESD, or electrostatic discharge, can cause catastrophic failure, which is when it completely destroys the component and makes it unusable. And then upset failure, which means it is making damage enough to it where it's not working properly. Okay. And then at the bottom here, it says, when working on sensitive or low voltage equipment, such as a motherboard, memory module, processor, always have ESD equipment. So there's different things. I alluded to the bracelet. There's the mats. There's gloves. And am I missing anything else, Kelly? Is there a shoe? Was there a shoe? Can't remember. But
but they do have grounding bars for servers.
The grounding bars for services. No, there's a mat too, but like no, it's a table mat. Okay, I'm getting confused. All right, yeah. So the mat.
Yeah, they do have there's the mat, there's gloves, and the bracelet, and then you have grounding bars for servers.
And your grounding bars for servers. Yes. Thank you, Kelly.
No problem. And we will be going over this again. Again, this is just a brief introduction.
Almost everything that we're going over through today will go over again, right? Almost like input, output, we'll be going over that again. And it's not the last time that you'll see all this stuff. So don't feel like that you have to take everything in today. We're kind of just introducing you to all these different concepts. Oh, these are the things I was just talking about. If I only looked at the next slide. So the ESD bracelet is an anti-static grounding bracelet connected to a ground. So like the computer case or a chassis. The ESD mats are also called grounding mats, and it's just something that you place on the surface area that you're working on. And like, let's say you got a component, you place it on the mat, and it'll get grounded. Then we got anti-static bags. And these are little plastic bags that shield your components from static outside of it. So like if you remove a processor, you put it in there, and this will be somewhere safe where you can store it, right? Keep it safe from ESD. Give me 1 second here, guys. Let me just make sure everything's in. Okay. All right. Okay. And then ESD gloves. So these are gloves that you put over your hands, and they prevent the ESD between you and the device while you're wearing them. Go ahead, George.
I have a question about grounding. I've heard that you can wear like a metallic wristwatch and kind of work on your computer. Is that correct or is that incorrect? To ground
a metallic wristwatch?
No.
I haven't heard about metallic wristwatch. Maybe you don't think it's the bracelet that we're talking about? Like, look at this.
No, I know what
picture
that
here.
is. I just I thought if you have something metallic on you, like it grounds you. But I was just asking if that was correct.
No, I mean, because remember, the main purpose of the grounding is to neutralize the charge between you and the item you're working on. The watch will not do that. In fact, jewelry can actually make that problem worse. So if
Oh,
you
wow.
reach into a computer with a watch on, it's an easier path through the watch than through your skin. So the watch may cause it to arc, especially if you brush against any kind of components or something like that. So the watch actually is a net negative, not a positive.
So only the things listed are the things that can actually ground you.
Correct. That
Thank
would,
you.
yeah, make your charge equal to that of the computer, so you don't have that spark.
Thank you.
Mhm. All right.
Don't wear jewelry when you're working on your car either.
Yes.
That arc is very, very dangerous.
Or if you've ever seen a picture of somebody who has degloved a hand, you will
Oh,
never,
stop.
never, ever wear jewelry when you work on anything mechanical again. So yeah, scary stuff. All right. You want to continue, DW?
I was waiting for the cue. I just didn't know if you were jumping in or you want me to.
Nah, man, you're doing awesome.
All right, so we got some protection rules here, but I'm kind of lazy and I like asking for help. So how about George? Can you read number 1 and 2 for me, please?
Sure. When working with someone else, touch the other person before you pass components between you. Number 2, store components inside anti-static bags until ready to install them.
All right, awesome, thank you. So what this is alluding to is like there's a lot of times we'll be working in teams, right? If you're gonna pass off something, a component to your colleague, your charge may be different than them. So the way that you dissipate this is you just touch them. You touch them on the shoulder. Don't inappropriately touch them, and then be like, hey, here's what it is that you need, right? And then we just talked about the anti-static bags. So keep your components in these anti-static bags to protect them when they're not being worked on or being used. All right. Adriel, would you read 3 and 4?
Always try to work on hard floors, not carpet, or use an anti-static mat. When working on computers, check humidity to be sure it is not dry, which builds static electricity.
Thank you. My fellow New Yorkers, you know all about that static electricity in the winter, right? All the dry air.
Listen, man.
Yo, my daughter wakes up and it's like, she looks like she's being possessed, man. And she has really long hair and her hair is just everywhere, right? And it's like even the slightest touch, like sometimes we don't even touch and you can hear the current between us. So yeah, be very, very careful when working in a dry environment and try to work on hard floors because that carpet builds up static electricity. Okay. All right, we got 5 and 6. How about Kayla? Can you read 5 and 6 for us?
Remove packing tape in another room as these materials attract ESD. Tie back long hair and remove loose jewelry and clothes when handling components and reaching inside the computer.
Awesome, thank you. So yeah, things like who would have thought that packing tape, causes a lot of ESD or attracts it, right? And and then the tying back long hair, removing loose jewelry.
Packing peanuts are the worst.
What? Peanuts?
Packing peanuts. Those the yellow little styrofoam things.
That's
why they stick to everything. That's static electricity.
Yeah.
So those are notorious for being able to damage components. So you got to be very, very careful with that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So remove your things somewhere else. Put it in your anti-static bag. Sometimes they already come in anti-static bag. But once you get it out of there, and then you can go work on it wherever it is that you're actually working on those components. And then again, tie back your long hair, remove loose jewelry and clothing. You don't want to get things stuck. You don't want to get shocked because you're wearing your nice watch. You don't also want to ruin your jewelry, right? Like a lot of our jewelry is expensive, or maybe it holds sentimental value. So definitely take those things off before you work. And these are questions that come up on the exams, on the certification exams. So definitely remember these things. not only for your safety, but also for passing the exams. Primarily for your safety, though. We don't want you to get hurt out there. All right. Tools and necessary equipment. All right, so this has a nice little, I would call this like a basic tool set, right? You have some pliers in there. You got a retrieval bracelet. You got a screwdriver. You got your ESD bracelet. You got some screws, things like that.
Should I give my cautionary tale about the chip extractor?
Yeah, go ahead. About yeah. That's pretty funny.
So
go ahead.
in my cohort, when I was in y'all's seat, we were on site, and one of the cool things we were going to do for that class was build a gaming computer and then set up VR rigs and all that stuff, and just have some fun with it. And so they brought in a TA to lead the build for building out the computer. And it was an AMD system, and we were walking through each of the components, getting everything set up, going through it. And if you can see, let me see if I have an annotator. Here we go. Boom. All right. So if you see right here, that is the chip extractor. It looks kind of like a horseshoe, kind of like this. I have awesome drawing skills. Please don't be jealous. And they have little hooks that come in like this. It's almost like salad tongs, but for removing chips from a board. So it goes down, and then those little hooks go underneath the chip and allow you to pick up that chip nice and safely and transport it from either the container you purchased it in or to the motherboard or what have you. So we're building this computer with the TA. We were using an AMD chip, which is what's called a PGA or pin grid array. We will get into that. But what it basically means is there's hundreds of little tiny pins that stick out of the bottom of the chip. They're about the width of a human hair. And so the TA grabs the chip out of the box with his hands, and he's nervous because not used to public speaking. And as he was transferring it from the box, it came in to the motherboard inside the casing. He drops the chip. And as the chip falls, it bangs on the side of the casing, bending about 20 to 30 of the pins, which now means those pins will not go down into the motherboard. So thankfully I lived close to campus and I had a precision kit at the house. So I raced home, grabbed my precision kit that had like magnifying glasses, tiny tweezers and all that stuff. And then we sat there for an hour with magnifying glass trying to straighten out those pins carefully so that we did not break any of them off. We were lucky enough to be able to do this, but it's a cautionary tale. Use the chip extractor. It only costs about 50 cents to $1, and it will save you from destroying a $500 plus processor. So just keep that in mind. It's only a couple seconds extra to use it. So that's my tale.
There you go. Kelly saved the day with pretty much. He
Business
can't pass up
card,
on
he can't pass
up on a chance to promote himself, right, Kelly?
That's just because I'm awesome. That's all.
All right. So yeah, so these things in here, this oh, by the way, demagnetized tools, right? I know it's tempting. It's all over Amazon. All these IT kids are magnetized. No. Get the demagnetized tools. Why? Magnets are powerful and they will strip away at sensitive materials. Like they will cause damage, right? So make sure that your tool set is demagnetized.
They have a little screw grabber tool. It's like this little post that has like 3 little hooks that come out of it that will grab screws. That's how you pick up screws out of a computer, not a magnet.
Yeah, do not use a magnet. All right. So yeah, things in this little tool set are the the grounding bracelet or ESD bracelet.
Uh-oh.
What's up?
Uh-oh, Adonis.
What happened?
Your shit is magnetized.
Okay.
There's actually demagnetizers that you can use on those tools and demagnetize them. So you know, you don't have to buy new tools. So you can just do that.
Look, for that.
Is that a what?
I don't know.
All right. Then we have the a Phillips screwdriver and cross tip. Those are the most common ones, right? You have your chip extractor, which is what Kelly was drawing with his beautiful art skills. And then you have a little container to keep your separate different screws, right? So that way you can easily access them. Right. We're gonna see some more equipments that we can use. Post diagnostic cards, right? POST stands for Power On Self-Test. Power On Self-Test. That's what POST stands for. And then this helps discover computer errors and conflicts while your system is powering on, right? And then it performs a series of tests during the startup, during the BIOS startup, when the computer is turned on, and before the operating system loads. Okay, so this is what it would look like. Our own systems, like monitor systems, run their own posts. Like I don't know if you guys have ever turned on a computer, you get a couple of beeps, and then nothing happens. I don't know if you guys ever been through that. That's the power on self test of your system going.
Those are the beeps of sadness.
Yeah, exactly. It's like beep 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 beep.
It's kind of like the red ring of death in the old Xbox 360.
I went through at least 6 Xbox 360s. Don't remind me. At least, yo, I must be a glutton for punishment, right? Because it's like red ring of death. Oh, gotta go spend $300 on a new Xbox.
Once you figured out the cooling situation, actually, that never happened again. I lost one. I hooked up extra cooling to the second one. Never lost that. I still actually have it to this day.
It was insane.
But yeah, they burned up quick.
All right, here are your networking tools, right? So we got a crimper, your cable stripper. Those are things that we use for the crimper. We use it to punch the holes in, right? To staple when we're making the jacks, right? That's what we use the crimper for. The cable stripper we use to strip the cables. A multimeter to check the currents. A tone and generator probe. Tone and generator probe is also called a fox and hound. Again, I'm going over them a little quick. We'll talk about networking tools when we get into networking, but this is just a little small preview. We got a loopback plug. A loopback plug is like something that you plug into the back of your network port, your Ethernet port, and it literally lights up if it's working. It's just basically making sure that the signal is going out and is being received. That's what a loopback plug is. There isn't a picture of it here. The punch down tool and a Wi-Fi analyzer. So these are the tools that you may use to diagnose network issues, make your wires, and things like that. We got Kahoot here.
Nah, it's not linked anymore.
Yeah. All right. So so for today's session, we should be able to better describe how computers work, including the relationship between hardware and software. Explain the key safety precautions to take and tools to use to protect yourself and the computer. And that should be it. Do we have any questions about this so far, guys? Here's your moment to ask away. Kelly, I'm gonna stop sharing.
And there we go.
So it took me a while, but it's been a minute. It's been a couple minutes.
Hey man, you jumped right in there. Perfect. That's what we like to see. Depending on the day and situation, you will either receive technical sessions from either myself or the TAs. And thankfully, we're all well enough versed in almost any of these. If one of us falls, like somebody who has horrible internet through Comcast, the others are able to pick it up and run with the ball.
No Kahoots today, Jordan, but there'll be Kahoots. I got to figure out what I'm going to do because Kahoot made a change where it's like max 20 people, and we don't have licenses for it yet. but I'll see what we can do.
Yeah,
Because I have a library of Kahoots.
Oh,
built out.
wait. You could possibly enter and just create a Nearpod and just have time declines.
What?
So you can create a Nearpod that's just time declines and put the Kahoots in there.
But don't I gotta do all of them one by one? Like input everything one by one.
Just
Little
a thought.
questions.
It's just a
Yeah. I think I'd rather pay like the $30 for the subscription. Like, yeah, I'm not doing that.
I got you.
Yo, some of those Kahoots have 40 questions, man.
That is true. That is true.
And there's at least 15 of different ones right now. Kelly thinks I got unlimited amount of times.
No, just money. Don't let him fool you. He owns like 5 houses in New York. It's ridiculous.
I wish.
All right, give me a second here. Looks like we will be getting test out today.
Yeah, I think we're gonna take a break here shortly, Kayla. You think we could do a 10-minute break, Kelly? Give these kids a chance to get some coffee, use the restroom.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we're not gonna jump right into the next one. Let's go ahead and take 15 minutes. We'll come back, well, close to 10 minutes, I guess. We'll come back at 11:15. Then we'll dive into our next one here.
All right, come back at 11:15, guys. 11:15.
All right, products.
All right, I'm gonna take advantage of that break too.
Go for it. I'm trying to update our class. Go. All right. Check our books.
Kelly, I have a question. With the lab, I try to register, but I need an activation code. Is that something we gotta wait for?
That's what I was waiting for today.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, we've got licenses for everybody for test outs. We were waiting on that to come in today. Same with the books. The books should be coming in today, and the Coursera. So we'll be talking about there in a little bit, where everybody needs to kind of go and check their emails to make sure stuff comes in. So because you have to check your junk folders, it may not come specifically from Generation. So we're going to be looking for. I have your licenses already for test out. I'll walk everybody through that here in a little bit. But you should get books for your email and Coursera sign-ins.
All right.
So all the goodies coming today, not just the admin. Too much fun.
Kelly, I have a quick question, Babukar.
Yes, Babakar. How can I help you, sir?
Can we take the A+ exam right after this course?
Yes, but
The
I would
certification?
offer the cautionary tale to wait until you're ready.
Oh, okay.
We'll get into that. We will get into that, but yes, you can. So, but
Okay, cool.
all we try to look at it, make sure that you guys are hitting certain metrics. If you hit certain metrics, we have an 85% success rate or higher than that. So I want to make sure you guys are hitting certain milestones.
Okay.
But once you hit those, you got a green light.
Yeah, because I kept studying for it, and then I'll just forget about it for like months or even a year, and then come back to it. But I've never taken the exam, so
I got you.
See.
Hi, Kelly.
Who is speaking?
It's Cynthia. I have a quick question, and I hope it's not getting off the topic. So I have a Coursera account with the New York City, the Department of Labor during the COVID.
Okay.
And I saw the emails today, so I want to know if you send out any emails today for the Coursera or not.
That likely is what is coming in today. Is the ones.
All right. So is
Yeah,
it not going to affect my current account with the DOL?
No, it should be. You should be able to merge them, and you would actually select your accounts. There's a drop down menu where you can select your accounts, but you can.
Yeah, I
merge
had
them
the
so
same
they're
thing,
the same.
Cynthia. I just
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
If you
I
go to the
received
top,
email too.
the top left corner, there's like a drop down. It shows like it says Coursera. You click on it. The one for us has like a Google logo.
Yeah. Thank you, George.
Welcome.
Excellent. Just we'll remind everybody when we all get back here, but everybody start looking in your email for email from Coursera, which is your scholarship, I guess it is, for the Coursera program, so we can start working through that. Yes, Miss Adams.
Okay, so I had this service is so choppy for me, it's terrible, but it's in the works right now. And I just feel like it was quiet for like a good 6 minutes. And I was trying to tap in to ask you to repeat yourself because I didn't know what we were doing. Like I seen, people started going off screen, so I didn't know what was going on. But I'm sorry for the delay. My service should be regular in the next hour for sure. But I really was just checking in to ask, can you kind of tell me where we're at right now? Because I got
Just
thrown
on break till about 11:15 Eastern.
Okay, I'm here.
If you're gonna get up, walk around, stretch your legs, you're good to go.
I'll do that. Thank you.
No problem.
Kelly, I have another question. I received this email from Coursera, but I had an account with them before, and it's a different email to the one that I registered with Generation. And if I
They have a merge function in there in the menu, like underneath where you would go to your account. You can actually merge two accounts, even if it's from a different email.
Okay, let me share my screen real quick so you can see what it says. It says host disabled participants.
Sorry.
Thanks, Bupak. I have the same situation here, so thank you. Yes.
Okay. Where is it again? Share this one. This is what it says here. This is the email that I used for my previous account. It's my company email. And now it's not letting me switch over to another email. Here it says, it looks like you haven't joined Generation IT Support Specialist. So it's asking me to contact the program's administrator.
Okay.
So the only,
well, have you signed out of Coursera?
Yeah, let me try that and see.
So first sign out of your old account of Coursera. Then when you sign in, and then it'll give you an option to merge accounts. I'm trying to see where it's a profile. Under profile, I believe you can go in there and actually merge two accounts together.
Okay. Let's see.
So hit on an existing one, see if that works. Is that the correct email?
Yeah, this is the correct email for.
Okay, so go ahead and click I'm an existing Coursera user.
Like this one, just sign in.
Nope.
Go back. Oops. This one.
Yeah.
Then, because you see,
So
it
put in
gives
your,
me-
put in that one and hit continue and see if that works. Let me hear you. Okay.
So it cannot connect your account to
Credentials. All right. So back out of this. And let's try creating new accounts, and then you can merge them. I think that's what I ended up having to do because I had one under generation, and then I had one under the college, and I actually had to merge the two. So hit
Okay,
new,
so just continue.
and then you can create your new one or whatever.
Okay.
And then you go to go to your drop down for your account. Got it.
So now it's on the
Click on the
generation
down arrow next to your name.
right here.
Okay. Go to profile. Hit edit. Scroll up. Oh, there we go. Scroll down. Don't worry about that for right now.
You're merging them right now, right?
Yeah, we're trying to.
Okay, so I don't need to do this because I'm already in them, right? So
Yeah,
I
you
don't
don't,
need.
yeah, you don't need to do that if you know. All right, so go back to the your name and then go to settings. I'm trying to remember where this is. Scroll down. Whoop, up. I think I saw it. Up, right there. So where see it says add your personal account here, so you still have access to Coursera courses after you leave the company. So you can add your company ones, whichever the other one you use.
Okay.
Hey, Kelly, do we have to do this if we have the same email address for, because I have 3 different accounts. I have a personal one, I have one from the Department of Labor, and I have one from you guys.
If you're using the same email, no.
No?
This is
Okay,
if you're
cool.
this is if you're using different emails.
Got it. Thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah, here it's saying someone already using this email.
That's you.
Sorry, Stephen, you also use the DOL?
That was me, George. Yeah.
Oh, George? Okay. So on your DOL, is it the same email? Because I have 2 different ones. So the DOL is different from the generations email. So I think I'm gonna just look how they do it here because I'm gonna have to do the same thing.
Yeah, I'll look up and see if I can remember how to do it. I can't remember off the top of my head, so we'll work on that. But yeah, for now, create a new account. I know you can merge them because I did do that. So
It's not letting me add an alternative email.
okay, let me work on this bubble card and see if I can figure out how to merge it. I know you can. I just got to remember how to do it. It's been over a year since I've done it, so and I only had to do it one time. So I'll see if I can figure it out.
All right, thank you.
No problem. So we'll get into that. All right, we should be back now. Waking up. Waiting for our second presentation for the day. I'll try to make our one this afternoon quick so that we can spend the rest of the time getting everybody into test out Coursera, see if the books are here, and we'll try to get all that stuff online this afternoon. So that'll be our main goal. And with that, I'm handing the floor over to DW.
Wait, I already did. Nah, I knew you were gonna say that.
I appreciate it. If your internet goes out, I'll jump in. I promise.
Don't tempt
Did we
me,
stop
man.
recording? Nope, we didn't.
We didn't. I thought we did.
Nope.